Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, mountain back to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, hey, in diaspora, current affairs, hey, reliable information, history, talking about culture, hey, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Between the Headlines on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jah, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. In tonight's edition of Between the Headlines, we're going to be looking at two very important topics. Number one, the fight against corruption. Is it real or political posturing? And we're going to look at what many see as the domination of Lofa people in the government of Liberia. Just a year or two ago, we were talking about Southeastern dominance. Now, people are complaining again about Lofa dominance. We're going to take a quick look at that and see if that's real or so. Let me welcome, joining us, the unabashed and unapologetic sedition, Mr. Jerome Gilman. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Great topic of interest. Thank you.
Let me also welcome Mr. Gabriel Tabito M. Carter. He is our host on FOL Marketplace, that where we speak business, finance, and economics. Gabriel, unmute yourself and welcome to the show.
Dennis, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Let me also welcome Pastor S.T. Salih, who is just returned from Monrovia. He's a sustainable development coach. Mr. Salih, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mr. Jah.
Let me also welcome neo-progressive, Mr. Dr. Clarence Pearson. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Jah, and hi to all the panelists and listening audience and viewers. Welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you. Last and definitely not the least is Mr. Abu Boakai Dukle, joining us from Canada. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here.
And let me also mention that Mr. Dukle is the one, people when they criticize or they correct, then they act, right? So he told us that, hey, why don't you have people from other continents on your show? Oh, America. I mean, Canada, he said, can you join? He said, let's do it. And he's there. People say something and then they back it up. Thank you, Mr. Dukle, for living up to it.
Well, mute it. There you go.
We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. Let's discuss between the headlines. So, the fight against corruption is on, but attention was drawn to the current audit going on. There's audit that went on at the Central Bank of Liberia, and that audit, it has damning report. We went through some of the numbers here that are so alarming. At the end of it, the governor was suspended. Right now, the case is at the Supreme Court. the deputies, one of the deputies resigned and said, "Hey, I'm resigning, but I already spoke to your governors, to your advisors, and give me my severance pay when I leave. And if you want, I can stay on with for a month." The president has accepted that resignation, and he has replaced Yimande Pearson with James Wafer. So we want to look at, okay, CDC and other people have been charging the president for witch hunt. Hey, why are you targeting special places for auditing? And then you audited people, there's bad things that went on at the central bank. So why are you accepting this resignation like she's done well? So we're going to look at that. Let's overall look at this fight against corruption. And the person that will replace the governor, the acting governor, is from the IB Bank, someone who Gabriel really doesn't like, not personally, but because he ran his own bank, the commercial bank, under the ground, and now he's dead. And that person is from Lofa County. He has appointed another deputy from Lofa County. So people are saying, wait a minute, is there a Lofa dominance in government? And we're going to go through all that. Let me welcome you, gentlemen. Let's tackle the first question here, the fight against corruption. And I don't want to start with Mr. Gaiman because I already know his answer. Let me start with Gabriel. Gabriel, the fight against corruption, is it real or political posturing? Why or why not?
I want to say yes or no, and the yes part of that answer is a little bit, me being trying to be lenient towards the president. No, widely, because of all the appointment we've seen so far. Most importantly, with the central bank, which you just talked about. If forget the appointment of the, I think the acting governor right now. Look at the board members that were appointed. I think 3 of them, right? And a central bank's supposed to be independent. And if you look at what has been happening with the central bank, what the president is literally trying to do is to create another group of yes men at the central bank that will, answer to his command whenever he wants to go and get money, similar to what the former president did. So he appointed 3 board members, and I think as you just stated, he appointed the acting governor, the deputy governor as well. So technically, these are 5 individuals that were appointed by him, right? The central bank is supposed to be independent, meaning separate from the government in terms of how they steer the economy and everything else in the country. But all of those appointments, if he were to go to the central bank and request, try to borrow money, the country, trying to the central bank, there is no way those appointments can deny or challenge his request there, right? So that's the part that I think everybody is looking at right now. From that perspective, I would say the fight against corruption, is I think it's posturing. When I say the yes part to that question, as I said, is me trying to be lenient. He's doing what he's supposed to do in terms of appointing people, uh, accepting the resignation of, the deputy governor. Um, but I don't think that is too much. That is not enough for the kind of, stern fight that we want to see in terms of, uh, I, I think we venerate this president so much because of not just his age, but because of how long he's been in the government, So we want to give him that, you know, that respect that he knows his way around the government. He knows what he's supposed to be doing. But from all indication, what we're seeing right now, that is not happening. But I think he's doing what he's supposed to do. Like most people said, we want to give him time. But so far, what he's been doing, it's not living up to the fight that we want to see happen. I think he's supposed to make an example of these people who were implicated in the report, especially the deputy governor right now. I would not accept her resignation. I will wait until a full investigation is final. And if she's not implicated any further. She's not indicted. Of course, I would take the resignation. So if I were him, I would hold off on our resignation right now and until, or maybe you can let her go and still continue with the full investigation. So for me, I think that's the overarching playbook that I think he's carrying out, is to appoint individual at the central bank who will be able to give him what he wants whenever he wants it, because right now he cannot borrow any more money with our international partner. So I'll leave it on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Gilman, you are a CDC guy, but I want you for a moment to take off your hat. Throw away the beret, and let's discuss Liberia. The last time when President Weah got in power, he did not do this. Because people will always say, "Oh, Mr. Weah loves peace. He's a man of peace." Now, why he didn't do, President Boakai is doing it, and people are crying foul. Tell me the reason why you think this is political posturing, or you think it's a genuine fight against corruption.
Well, we said this before I go any further. Let me recognize two people here who I think they deserve our recognition. There's a gentleman that his name is Ja Eddie. He's watching from district number 3 in Grand Bassa County, my birthplace, Weed District. Welcome. And then somebody watching from Bull Waterside. That's also awesome. This time of the night you are watching. We appreciate you. Now, we were talking about the posturing or whether this is legit. I know when we say these things, people think because we are in opposition, we say this, but then it's just hard to argue against facts. And the fact is, I will read to you the other report that came from the Senate. And my own home girl, Nyobli Kanga, responded to the Senate, to the audit, where they found that the legislative branch of our government is in cahoot with the executive to exploit and rob the Liberian people. That is the headline today. And it says here, GFC audit reviews alleged collaboration between the lawmakers and the executive branch in misappropriating $200 million US dollars. And after the report was done, my own homegirl said this, and I'll read it verbatim. The Senate will work with the GAC and other relevant financial institutions to develop a financial management system and procedure that can easily be audited, congruent to the PFL law of Liberia. As it stands, she says, the report is based on the non-systemic. She said we didn't have any system. We did everything we could do. Since there were no law and system, what we did now, that it basically is non-existent, as she said here. The report is based on a non-systemic financial regime spelled out in the report. And as such, as it stands, the findings do not also conform or basically tell us the breach of any system that was followed by the legislature. That means we spend the money the way we could see it, as we felt it. Now that this audit has spelled out where we went wrong by spending all this money, you can't indict either one of us because there were no system to hold us responsible. We will work with you now from now on to build a new system. Is this somebody who is actually, is this a group of folks that are actually fighting corruption? If you listen to the money that we are talking about here, and the response, she didn't deny it. They will spend money, cash law it. They would they do anything they want to do. That's a lot. Then fighting corruption for somebody who says, we spent $22 million without any oversight, without anything. We gave it to somebody to do roads. Then we took another $8 million that we say we sent to somewhere called SRB Bank, whose manager was where Boakai said, I live on loan, go to how do you call it, bank, IB Bank. And the man who was the president of the IB Bank is now being transferred to the central bank. I mean, it is something. So anybody who tells you this, like we always say, if you are in trouble in Liberia in this administration, you have a default position. That is, send everybody you have made Samuel 12, the villain from day one to now, just arrest him. That's all you got to do. You got whether you got any case against him, just arrest him, and you will take the heat from yourself. And this is where. So I think this whole thing, Mr. Jai, it is the old playbook from Tubman, Talbot, Dole, Charles Taylor, Elling, and here we are. Nothing has changed.
Thank you. Mr. St. Salif, we see that from the tenure official to right now, is it a genuine fight, or are we looking at just replace your men with my men? Replacing we are people with my own people so that they can do what I say. How you look at it?
I won't even use political posturing. I want the Liberian people to understand JMB is just pretending. He's pretending to be doing something. He's not doing. He's not sincere. He's not honest about it. Because listen, your first foot you put forward defines you. JMB came, he won the elections, inaugural funds, and I will still keep reverting to that. Inaugural fund was misappropriated. Miata family and his own party chairman, Reverend Luther Tappet, he accepted, he agreed that he cut those money. Okay?
Right, but Miata family was not part of that one, right? Because the one you're talking about, inaugural money, is that 300,
Yeah, the 300 for the different counties.
That was the party chairman. That was not Miata family.
Yeah, that was Reverend Luther Tappet, but she was the chairperson for the inaugural stuff. So there was lots of misappropriation that went. In fact, she went things that musical equipment that Liberians are hiring. Why did she go to Sierra Leone to bring somebody the microphone? Nothing were working. I mean, so what happened? There were lots of misappropriation. So a president who is serious, that's the first place he was started from. Charity begins at home. So if he has set example on his own people, everybody will have sat back and said, listen, a new sheriff is in town. This is no more business as usual. But your own party chairman accepted that, yes, I cut this money. And the punishment you gave him was a promotion by appointing him somewhere. So then how do you convince me that you're serious about this fight against corruption? Now, when it comes to the CBL, was the deputy, Nyimande, was she the whistleblower? No, she did not blow whistle on her bus. So that means she knew exactly what was happening there. So if there is an audit going on, let the audit go on. And the two people, you cannot suspend the governor and then you accept resignation from the deputy governor. What's going on? We're not children. We see what's playing out. So he can be serious. And then if you really need reconstruction, bringing the country back together, national reconciliation and all of that, you bring somebody who ran a bank to the ground, because that's where you used to loan money from, and you put it over the Central Bank of Liberia. That is a child's play. So JMB is just pretending. This man, I don't have faith in what he's done so far. I mean, the missteps and the kind of appointments he's been making. I don't have any faith. I think he's just posturing just to make people to think he's doing something, but he's not doing anything. So, therefore, I am an independent. I'm not you. I don't have any party in Liberia because I love to be in the middle. If seditious cry out that this is a witch hunt, I will want to believe them. Because if it's not a witch hunt, why is Reverend Luther Tappet, the party chairman, still in position? Why? After embezzling 300, I mean, for what? Why is he still there? That's the first person you should have set an example on. And then we would have known that you're serious with the fight against corruption. So yeah, I don't believe anything JMB is doing. He has to do more to convince me and to convince the Liberian people.
Dr. Pearson.
Thank you, Dennis, and welcome to all our online followers. I just want to take this time to welcome my man Eddie, Ja Eddie. Welcome on the show, my man. Mr. Dennis, I think there's a bigger picture for me when I hear this coming to power, especially that President Boakai is on international media and on local media saying that everything was going wrong in the country, and that the CDC-led government plunged the country into a complete mess, and we're in a very bad position. And so in my mind, as a technocrat and a professional person in my mind, I would think he's coming to do a reform that will set certain basic standard and structure that will heal our economic situation in our country. But I think quite to the contrary, there are two things that stand out to me that I feel that will make me to have some hesitation about his fight when it comes to corruption right now. But let me be quick to say first that I do appreciate what President Boakai is doing by even allowing audit to take place to begin with. And I think it's a good thing. Whether the audit is political or not, at least there's a sign that we can see what's happening in the back, It's a starting point. But again, when I come to think about how he has tampered with 10 new positions, and someone will say, why you keep going back to that? Because when you play with the independence of institutions that should be protected so that they act outside of political influence, then it gave us less to be certain about their trust and confidence in those institutions. And I'll repeat myself, when we were in Liberia, when Ellie took power, the international community encouraged those 10 new positions so that there will be less of political influence looking at a fragile democratic space. So for President Boakai to come in now and try to weaken 10 new officials so that everybody is afraid now, we saw PPCC going into shock, everybody accepting anything that come on the decks. We saw LAC going to shock, silent on Boakai for not even submitting his asset declaration in time, even his officials. We saw the GAC being flip-flopping around. Audit is commission here before they go there. They say, we will drop out of audit. Boakai said, don't go and audit there again. They said, okay, we're not going to audit. And contradicting their own laws and their own recommendations that brought them to power. So we and then when I look at the audit reports that are coming up, yes, Mr. Ja, those audit reports are very damning. They are very concerning. And I think we all should be concerned about those audits. And I think those who have come out in those audits are bearing greater responsibility for those actions that deviate from our protocol, our financial protocols, and our financial policies should be held accountable. But again, let's go by what everybody else saying. I'm trying not to repeat what the others have said. But where's the confidence in President Boakai? There are people right under his nose who are committing serious offenses of the financial laws. He himself violating the financial laws. He's now obeying the rule of law. So how can we take him serious? So if the opposition political parties, including CDC, say that this is political coercion, I stand to agree with them. Until I can see President Boakai prosecute Reverend Luther Tappen, until I can see the internal audit agency, the IAA audit report that they did against the inaugural committee that was commissioned right after the inaugural ceremony, that report hiding it understand on cover right now, but I can bring it out. Boakai hiding that report. Where is that report for the inaugural stuff? It was audited. So until we can see, some practical steps taken by President Boakai on his own officials, all right, we stand to doubt the process. But in any case, something is better than nothing, Mr. John.
Thank you. So let's put this in context here. At the central bank, we saw these reports coming out, unapproved legal and consultancy expenses, and all the lack of competitive bidding, the staff on loan default irregularities, the concern on over-the-counter payment and all that. So at the end of the day, the central bank governor was suspended and replaced. Then the deputy wrote the president and said, Mr. President, I'm resigning. right? It said, Mr. President, I'm resigning. But leading to that, the resignation, that's the one people are not getting, right? Because the resignation letter, and I want to even read that. She's resigning and say, she want a severance. The issue of severance has been like, okay, I want to put somebody there, so we go and negotiate. We negotiate for the person and give them. I think who was this person from the weird time? Accepted 300,000 as severance pay because you want to replace that person with your own person. Is this? Let me go to Mr. Boakai here, Mr. Boakai Dukle. No relation with the president. Mr. Dukle, let's look at the audit report and what's going on here. And the whole idea of 10 new officials. Now we are here. Do you see that this fight against corruption is intended to for accountability and to recoup what has been lost, like to get the money back? And let me also go back to asset declaration, where asset declaration is supposed to show transparency, but it's like almost nobody declaring their asset, and we are moving on like that. The ombudsman who's supposed to investigate is in place and scrutinize these things, and really it's like it's optional. In fact, what I heard is the judiciary 91% non-compliance.
Yeah, Dennis, I have to concur with Mr. Gaiman when he spoke about the culture of corruption and impunity that started from, I don't know, just the drinking rubber days to date. You see, audits are supposed to, the purpose or the essence of audits is to be able to figure out where things went wrong, and you rectify them, and then you improve where you need to improve.
Hold on, Douglas. Let me read briefly what the deputy governor wrote. He said, "I'm writing to formally resign from my position as deputy governor of operations at the Central Bank of Liberia. This decision follows discussion with your advisors and mutual agreements regarding the payment of my benefits, which include pension, severance, and compensation for my unexpired term. Throughout my tenure at the bank, I have led significant reforms." And she went on and on. She also said, "Moreover, in 2022, we successfully executed the national legislative mandate to print new bills." She continued, "While serving my country, my patriotism has never wavered. I'm profoundly grateful for the privilege of serving in your government over the past 7 years. Your Excellency, I'm willing to stay on for 30 days after my effective date of resignation to assist with the transition." And President Boakai wrote back and said, "Thank you, you've done well." And I'm summarizing that. "Thank you for your service, you've done well." It's the president accepted the resignation and thanked. She accepted the resignation and thanked her for her service. So I just wanted to add that piece before you continue.
Yeah. So really, from our perspective, all of what we see happening now is just one step further in furthering the culture of impunity that has plagued that nation since its inception as a nation state. You see, Dennis, when I heard about the audit, going back to the asset declaration and all the hype that were created after the inauguration, and I remember somebody, I don't remember who exactly, but someone said it on this platform that he doesn't think that the audit is going, the asset declaration is going to materialize. And I remember saying that day that I was cautiously optimistic, and Anthony even make a joke of that. and we laugh about it. But Dennis, we took the wrong turn when Madam Ellen, upon whom a lot was dependent to create that roadmap that is going to take us away from what led us to what we had and be a transformative leader that would take us ahead. But unfortunately, when Madame Serif came, she fostered the same old culture of impunity, the same old culture of corruption. The laws are not deterrent. People are not. Their actions, their wrongdoings are no consequence. There's no consequence to them. So when you look at what is happening now, sedition would be right to say that there is a witch hunt against them, because yes, Madam Serif did not do it. They criticized her when they were in power. They did not do it, and now it's been done to them. They are crying foul. So it is the extension of the bad governance that was established after the war. Because with all what Madam Serif did, we saw how, I don't want to say incapable she was to prosecute people who were corrupt, people who were caught mismanaging the country's money. Instead, I don't know, there was this term that was coined talking about to recycle them within the government. So what you see happening now is exactly the same thing. So the reason why I wouldn't be sympathetic to sedition is that when they were in the same position that UP is in now, they did not do what they are now crying foul for. They did not audit the UP government, and we know and we saw a lot of things, a lot of improprieties that went on, and daylight stealing that went on, and nothing happened. It's almost like they were so greedy for power. When they got to power, their interest was how to enrich themselves before they can think about anything else. So as a result, nothing got done. Nobody was audited. No action was taken. They just carry on as usual. So you see Unity Party carry on the same process, except that Joseph Boakai wants to give the appearance as if he's wanting to fight corruption, or he's going to set an example, which is what he's supposed to do, actually. And this notion of, Liberia is a small place, we're all related. This is recipe to the continual impunity that has plagued our country. So I have lost all confidence in Joseph Boakai and his ability to kill some of the ills that we know is within our governance system. So when gay men talk about this, it started from Tottenham time. Well, it should have stopped when the war ended. It shouldn't have happened when the war ended. We expected a new republic. We expected a new system of governance moving forward. We didn't see that. Instead, we saw the old pattern of behaving. We saw the old pattern of corruption just manifesting itself from one government to another. So really, I have come to lose all hope in the ability of Joseph Boakai to transform Liberia the way we expect him to, based on all the things we know about his, he's been in government for so many years. He has the know-how, but we have not seen nothing done, because when his own party chairman embezzled the 300,000, we didn't see nothing happen. And this individual that was brought from a bank to become a deputy governor, so why are we even talking about this? This is not something like somebody have to make up as we go along. No, there are established norms. There are laws on the books. There are procedure in administration that need to be followed. So it is only in Liberia that when you audit, it becomes abnormal. But auditing is something that goes on in every establishment, in every institution. And like I said, the essence of it is to enhance, to promote to deal with the ills and rectify them and make them a lot more efficient. But because we are used to the culture of impunity, we are used to the culture of corruption. The moment you talk about auditing, people see it as it's abnormal, it's witch hunting, it's all the names that you want to think of. They will name it, but the trajectory doesn't look good, Dennis. This is just going to lead us. It's just going to delay the inevitable. But we are on a path where this is going to come to a place where we're going to have to reckon with all these bad governance behaviors and attitude that we are seeing in our government.
Thank you. For those of us old enough to remember, starting under President Doe, the fight against corruption is not new. If you remember, President Doe, at some point, I don't want to even mention the brutal killing of the tech team for what they call rampant corruption. And people could say, oh yeah, that's drastic, right? And then later on, we saw that President Doe tied people up publicly and beat them for corruption. Anybody remember that? Now you, Gabriel. we also saw that, I still remember the late Oscar Jaikuya from the UPP, right? He was implicated for tax and all kinds of things, the free polls. So a few days later, he joined the NDPL. Everything was waived. So every time we see the fight against corruption, I mean, there has been time and time again. When President Buya took power, you saw that he had Charles Salif, the late Charles Salif in handcuffs, right? This was a fight against corruption. Where did it go? So when these things are happening, people have the right to say, wait a minute, let's look at this. Mr. Salif here, I want us to, let's take a minute each and conclude on this. What should President Boakai be doing with this fight against corruption to tell us that it is fair, it's holding people accountable, and that it's across the board? It's not witch hunt. It is not political posturing. And then we're going to get our money back that they stole. What needs to happen? 1 minute each. Let me start with St. Salif.
Yeah, like I said, Dennis, JMB needs to start in his own house. If you don't clean your house, don't come to my house and tell me what is going on. JMB was vice president for 12 years under Ellen. This tenure position, they all started under him. He was president of the Senate at the time. So not to even respect the law of tenure position that was created under himself and Ellen's administration, to just come remove anybody with utter disregard, to lay down rules and principles and install your own lackeys in those positions. That corruption has many faces. That also is a part of corruption. To just come and boot tenure position out of their places, to install your own lackeys in those places, is also a component of corruption. So if JMB is serious in the fight against corruption, start in your own house. Hold Luther Tapper accountable. That's the first place. That, in fact, under JMB administration, that was the first person that stole money. He was the very first person that stole money. And he got due position. So you can't tell me any other thing you're doing. Anybody who shout witch hunt, they will be right to shout witch hunt, because you cannot, the Bible says, move the coal from your own eye, you'll be able to see clearly to remove it from my own eye. So if he's serious, let him start with Luther Tapper. If he holds Luther Tapper accountable, I will support him that he's in a fight he's in a genuine fight against corruption.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson.
Yeah, I'm a little too concerned tonight, because I think corruption is a very serious problem for us. It's a menace in our society. It hurts to see people try to say they want to correct it, but they are still looking back and blaming former politicians that they consider to be failed politicians and failed political party, and still trying to use them as a measure for what they are doing today, and trying to target one group as opposed to targeting the entire system. I would say tonight, if any of the government officials listening, if President Boakai is also going to have an opportunity to listen to this broadcast, listen, President Boakai, one of the strongest means of fighting corruption is to use civil society. If you want us to believe in you, don't be removing people from institutions that you consider corrupt, only to put people there that you have interest in, or people who you feel you can boss around and tell them to do what you wanted to do, and then they do it like your friend from RB Bank who broke the bank down and now going to become central bank governor. Like your deputy governor you just employed, Wilfred, who owed the central bank itself $90,000. All right, on personal loan you took from the central bank. Now, so you prosecuting people for you're trying to chase people for the money they say they stole. Then the very people who went and took the money from all the counter, you put them in the same position. What are you fighting there? It makes no sense. So I would say, look, when you want to gain public confidence and fight corruption, live with civil society. That Martin Cody didn't say this thing. What the man here again? Or John Malu said this thing. Set up an expert team that will vet people who go into those positions, and they will recommend names to you, viable Liberians that you can appoint. Avoid any cloud over your neutrality in the process. It gives you some confidence, some credibility, and then we the people can say now that the man is serious. But Gresby stole money from Social Security. He ate it for free. You gain job. Your party chairman, you made both chair. Right now as we speak, our own friend Mo Ali, $55,000 gave it free to a company that was less than 1 month old, and he said less than 1 month old on the job. And those 22 million, now we're seeing all the dead rolls, we're seeing all the mud showing up now. People who were trying to say that getting use the money for the red purpose are now all ashamed because we told you before that you cannot grade mud roll, and you say you're doing it to counter rainy season. It doesn't work like that. That's all corruption because you cannot account for those money. To be honest, your only 26% of your cabinet official have declared the assets. How do you fight corruption? You yourself declare your asset late. How do we know your asset is correct? All of those things. And so if we don't have any confidence in you right now, it's because of these things. You have to course correct. You have to course correct. Then we'll take you serious.
Thank you. Let's be brief on this one so we can go to the next. And Mr. Potter, coming to you to give your own take. I want to also add that the deputy managing director who replaced Madam Yamade Pearson, James A. Wilfred, according to the audit report, is in default of about 90,000.
How can you be serious?
I wanted to make this point earlier, but I didn't. I always cognizant of how many of us are here. You see, in as much that I think that the expectation we wanted to see from this president in fighting corruption, I think he's missed. There are plenty of opportunities that were laid before him, and he keep missing them. And unfortunately for him, they keep showing up repeatedly, but yeah, he keep missing them. We keep talking about this central bank report. The staff loan, like you guys keep mentioning, the guy that he just appointed as the deputy owes 90,000. I think he has an opportunity here again because this hasn't. We continue to talk about it. It hasn't faded away into the discussion on the social media or the media platform. He still has an opportunity here. The reason why I think he should put his effort into this central bank audit, because he has the ability, if he does it right, it has the ability to maybe help him course correct on every one of his policy item. And the reason why I say that, because we've seen him after he got elected come to the United States. They just welcomed him without getting him anything. I think he came to kind of get some kind of a donors funding. He went to South Korea. He didn't get anything. He went back home. Right now, there is no funding for him to carry out some of his policy. And the reason why I think if he does course correct, especially with this central bank policy, with the audit, he has the ability to maybe help you leverages to fund some of his agendas. If you look in the report, in addition to some of the corruption and the over-the-counter checks we see cashing, if you look further down in that report, the treasury that they issue in the country, I keep saying this, a lot of people subscribe to that and they pay heftingly on that, 4% to 7% interest rate. So if you you lend 100,000, you Dennis give the government 100,000, they will make you'll make 7,000 a year on your 100,000, right? If you want to park your money, any of you guys that want to park your money somewhere where you can make easy money, you can go park it in that government in the government. But with this report that we're seeing right now, right, you will have second thought about it, right, because of the activity that are in there. So if he has the ability to appoint qualified people, especially the governor, the deputy governor, qualified board members who can help him at the central bank, it can help him fund the rest of his policy with with the central bank without, maybe if he has to go on to go to the other international partner like the IMF and the World Bank, it would just be for a fraction of what he needs to do that, right? The other point that I want to make, I know we got 1 minute, but I will say this correctly.
Right. I wanted you to say, what can he do now to course correct? Go ahead.
So what he can do to course correct is, I think I said it earlier, appoint qualified people. The current governor that he's bringing to that as a governor isn't fit to even run a bank, and we've seen that already. A central bank's supposed to set interest rate from a monetary standpoint. They're supposed to control the exchange rate. Yes, we understand they're supposed to be a lender of last resort, right? And they're supposed to help create jobs in that economy. With the guy that you're bringing there, the current governor,
and regulate the commercial
regulate,
banks.
yes, and regulate the commercial banks. He has not been able to run a small commercial bank, and you're bringing him there. So if you want to get all of those things done, you have to appoint somebody who has proven to do that, somebody who has the qualified experience to be able to do all of that. I think that's, for him, that would be the basic minimum thing that we can expect from him. There's a lot I want to say, but I think I just, for that, we only have 1 minute, so I will leave it on that.
Thank you. Mr. Gaiman.
Well,
how can President Boakai proceed so that it shows that he's holding people accountable and he's going to get our money back that people stole?
I have to be sympathetic to Boakai on this one to some degree. He's like Shark Tank. When I'm looking at the accusation from the CGAC audit on the collusion between the executive and the legislative body, where these people had no law governing them, they were doing everything and they agree. For Boakai to come out now and say, just imagine the judiciary were also indicted, right? Who do you take these people to? These rogues now? Who's supposed to be these rogues? At least people who be these rogues are law-abiding citizen, people who are stringent and straightforward people. But you take the rogue to be the rogue, it just doesn't work. Joseph Boakai, if I was advisor, the first thing you need to do, the most important thing is to demolish this thing that he just revitalized called the Economic Council, where he made himself the president and the central bank sits on the board with him and he's the chair of that. That in itself, the World Bank, IMF looked at it the other time and said, this is terrible. It is through this system that you transfer $8 million without the board consent. So how do you, as president, say we're gonna reactivate this council and the president is going to chair it, and on the board he listed all the autonomous agencies, and the central bank president is on that board beneath him. So anybody who sees stuff like this, It's impossible for us to now say if you run a government like that, if you run your family like that, then you expect the United States to respect you, and you say they don't respect us, they don't want to do, they walk off of us while we had guests, and you behave like this. So I would say first thing he needs to do is that new thing that was dead, that he just resurrected, dissolve the Economic Council, don't put yourself at the head of it, and let the agency be independent. At least then people will think you started from somewhere.
Thank you. Boakai.
I think this is very simple. It is to enforce the laws as they are in the book, and the audit recommendations should be followed to the letter, so that at least no matter where the audits point to, he should hold them accountable. And one of the things that will give legitimacy to some of these things is when he start within his own party, like we said earlier. And so you can't be trying to enforce the law when it comes to other people, and then within your own party you are unable to do the same. So in order for GNB to give some credibility to what he needs to do, he needs to start within his own within the Unity Party. So at least to give some semblance, if not some semblance of legitimacy to all the so-called corruption fighting that he wants us to believe that he's doing. Because you see, Dennis, I always come back to this asset declaration. I mean, I'm not even sure why they make the asset declarations. They make it look as if it's such a difficult thing to do. But the only reason why they are afraid of carrying it on as it should be is because of what will follow afterwards. Because they know their hands are not clean. And so when the time comes when they are no longer in control of what happens, they know they will be held accountable. So for that reason, nobody seems to be enthusiastic or even talking or promoting this notion of asset declaration anymore because of the ramification afterwards. So Joseph Boakai need to, I think it's still not too late for him to show that, yeah, he is ready to fight corruption the way he should. But again, like I said, he has to really start with the Unity Party. All the things that have been enumerated here over the short period of time that he's been in power is troubling, to say the least. It's very troubling.
But Dennis,
Yeah,
we're
go
talking
ahead.
about assets declaration, okay? In 100 days deliverables, and I keep going back to it. At the bottom of it, they had the integrity pledge, okay? Every appointed official, including JMB himself, was supposed to sign a simple integrity pledge that we are going to make sure we're not corrupt or doing these things. JMB did not sign it. He did not even make any of his ministers to sign. And it's part of the 100 days deliverables. What confidence does this president want people to have in him when they can't even do the barest minimum of signing an integrity pledge? People that can sign integrity pledge, how do they declare their assets?
Thank you. And that leads us to this whole idea. Under President Weah, there was a lot of charges against him for what they call Southeastern domination. By Southeastern, they're talking about 5 counties. Now, if we were to say North, if we look at Nimba, Lofa, Bong, or North Central domination, but that's another story. But let's look at Lofa alone. We have 19, and I think my friend Amara Corner said it long ago. The Constitution said, as the best you can, make sure that you have representation from each county in your cabinet. So with 15 counties and 19 ministries, we are expecting at least. So if one county has just 3, you're already dominating, right? So let's start with the Boakai cabinet. And we go to deputies and assistants. Then we also go to heads of public corporation and these agencies and their deputies. It looks like we got plenty of Lofa people there. You think so? Let's look at minister. We have foreign affairs. We have finance. Boakai Kamara is no longer there; it's being replaced. But let's, for the sake of argument, Attorney General, the Transport Ministry. So, if you just look at this list, just the cabinet alone, you should have what, 3 people from Lofa. I see Jumale, the internal affairs. You see commerce. You can have it both ways. So it's from Lofa. Youth and sport, Ko Bangalo. And really the one that caught my attention today is to have the governor and the deputy being from Lofa. And Gabriel works in a bank. I don't know how, because we try to say, don't, even if you work in a group home, they say when the 2 of you related, don't work on the same shift because you will cover the other person. Okay. So we have, I think, my own friend too, LTA, Lofa. So there's a lot of Lofa thing going on. How do we compare this with the what we used to call Southeastern dominate? Because Southeastern has 5 counties, right? So, Mr. Gaiman.
Well, there is no comparison because the Southeast, like you say, if you include Grand Bassa, that's even bigger. That would be Grand Bassa, River Cess, Sino, Grand Jita, Maryland, River G. You go down the list. That whole area, that's basically the whole South. That's 50% of the country per se. Okay, almost. So here we are, folks are using that. And we had this conversation in 2006 when Ellen was appointing all of her family members, her children. Her defense was, as long as they are qualified, they can hold these positions. And Liberians were clapping. And I told them, if this is the standard that we are going to use, the candidates in the United States, as huge as that family, or the Bushes, as huge as those families are, all the children highly educated, if they all decided, well, say all my children and family are qualified, they all going to work in government, take all the positions, there will be no room left for anybody else. So I told them, I said, Ellie, this is a terrible, I told Benson Garfield, I said, this is a terrible, terrible precedent that you are setting. And today, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but Joseph Boakai has done it exponentially. Now we're not only talking about people from Lofa, but we are talking about close relatives. You even left out the chief of staff, defense, is also his nephew. The last time you saw this thing in the newspaper in Liberia, his nephew had a birthday party, and the military band went there to play Happy Birthday for the son. I mean, all these things. So it is just bad for our system, and it has begun. The next president may come and do the same thing and say, well, Lofa did 8 or 10, and you didn't say anything, so what happened? They might do 12. And this is where I see it going.
Mr. Salif, if we look at even if you go to say immigration, Lofa, or FIA or FIU, Lofa, you go to LRA, Lofa, and it's just going on and on and on.
Yeah, LRA, Mr. Daba Jala, disclaimer, he used to be my instructor in high school. Yep, this all Lofa. But the thing is, if our appointments are based on meritocracy, if people are qualified for a position and you can't find any other person, okay, I can excuse that That is, this person is a technocrat for this position. We searched the whole country. We went outside of the country. We looked for qualified Liberians that could occupy this position. We didn't see, and that's why we got all these people from this one county in that position. Okay, it's understandable. My disappointment with JMB is he pretends as though there are no other Liberians living in Liberia and in the diaspora that he can call on to come and serve in some of these positions, that he must just, to avoid that appearance of impropriety, that appearance of misconduct. He just finds it difficult to do. And in my estimation, I think when it comes to George Weah and Joseph Boakai is more inept than George Weah. And I will explain why. George Weah didn't go to school, so I can excuse his mistakes.
George Weah has a master's degree. What do you mean?
Yeah, okay. Whatever. Joseph Boakai went to school. He's been public servant over 40 years. So to be making these kind of mistakes at this level, it tells me he's inept. We are pretending like this man knows what he's doing. He doesn't know, because from the get-go, he keeps making the same mistakes. He keeps doing the same thing, and he's not even showing any sign of desisting from it. That's why I think he's so inept, and I don't know when he wants to course correct. It's like maybe he doesn't have people he listens to, or maybe he doesn't have the right people around him to talk to him. Something is going on wrong. If you are at this point, appoint a team. These people will vet every appointment you make so that they can look all over the place, search every nook and cranny. We need this position to be filled. These people can go all around. I gave an analogy on Friday about a national head coach for a football team. By the time they take over that office, the first thing they do, they go scout all around the world to see which players from that particular country are playing in all the top leagues around. They travel around the world looking for people. JMB behaves like there are no other people that are called Liberians around this world that can do it. And I suggest that the deputy director for IMF, she's a Liberian. She's retiring. Why not go to that kind of woman and say, come and see if you can help us at Central Bank? No. I must take my friend who ran a failed bank to bring him and put him in that position. So it's corruption has many faces. And this is also one aspect of corruption, to just stack the administration with people from your place or with people that are your friends or your family. It's also a face of corruption.
Thank you. Dr. Pearson, some will argue that, hey, we look for qualification, is not our county. And I remember another person who supposed the DMB government say, hey, Lofa have many ethnic groups, so they need more people. Should qualification trump everything here? To say, well, it doesn't matter if they are from Lofa, because Education Minister Jaso Jala Lofa, Internal Affairs Lofa. We see the Commerce Minister Lofa. If you look at the Health Minister, it's not from Lofa, but the husband is from Lofa. And there's two, when people accuse Tuber of nepotism, it was something like that, your nephew or some form of connection. But Lofa is kind of prominent here. What's your take?
Thank you, Dennis. I should say off the back that I do not put a lot of emphasis on tribal politics, on politics by ethnicity. I think all Liberians are Liberians. If they left with I alone, we will not be making this kind of analysis so that we do not pitch each other and against one another to the point where it becomes a conflict in the country. So I say that to say that I think if a person is qualified for a position, regardless of which country they come from, to be able to land a job, if they meet the vetting criteria laid down by whatever leaders we have. But again, out of expediency and good leadership, this is where again leadership steps in. Even though I would like to see any Liberian, regardless of which country you come from, if you qualify and you meet the standard, you can get a job if you apply for it. At the same time, as a good leader, when I'm setting my criteria for recruitment, I will be cognizant of the fact that these things have conflict implications. And because they have conflict implications, that way I will start to draw the line. We have history to these things. President Samuel Doe, when he took over initially, he was very open to a lot of other participants. But then at some point in time in Samuel Doe regime, he took more to the, sorry to mention, but more to the Crown people. And because he took more to the Crown people, I lived in Liberia at the time. You a Crown man getting the street to Mayflower, it was an issue. When the Crown man carried to court, that issue. When the Crown man told you supposed to talk. And because our politics started to lean on the tribal and the ethnic side, we had some serious problem. So that's where leadership comes in to say, constitutionally, all Liberians, regardless of your tribal affiliation, if you are qualified for a job and you meet the criteria laid out for a job, you can get the job. But when it comes to Dennis, when it comes to the issue about family members and relatives, that's where I got serious concern. Where I'm hearing that President Boakai and other people in his government are literally putting family members in position, and with total disregard for other qualified Liberians. That's a no. And I would not encourage that. I would strongly recommend to the president, Mr. President, your country have a conflict history where when one tribe seems to dominate, it becomes a political issue. So in as much as you can say that everybody have the right, regardless of where you come from in the counties, you got the right to get a job. Also take into consideration the conflict sensitivity of the historical nature of our country politics and provide leadership. If it means to say you got to evenly distribute a appointed position because you got control over that. You have to have a measured approach to how many individuals from certain counties take appointed position. You have control over that. That I would say, please be careful and do the right thing. I'm also hearing, Mr. Jai, if I can just close on this, that the guys on Nima are doing the same thing as we speak. The guys on Nima are doing the same thing as we speak. Cooper Kra, he's doing the same thing. All right? And they said the whole labor ministry is flooded with Nibians. No, we can't do this thing to our country. By doing this, we undermine the very democracy we try to foster. So I will conclude by saying, I encourage all Liberians, regardless of tribes, to have jobs in the country if they are qualified, and we shouldn't be playing the trap cards. Yeah.
Well, and thank you, Dr. Pearson. But we're talking about counties, not tribes, because these counties are political subdivision. They are mentioned in the Constitution, right?
I mean, what are counties? What are counties or tribe? Which it should be based on the person's qualification.
Yeah, I'm coming. The Constitution mentioned that, right? First, let's say the president and the vice president should not come from the same county. There's a reason for that, right? So it's not. So are you saying when two presidents are qualified, the president and the vice president can come from the same county because they are qualified? The answer is no, right?
No, the Constitution speaks directly to that.
Exactly. So the second thing the Constitution spoke about is the second thing they spoke about is your cabinet ministers. They say, do your best so that you have balance from all the counties. So the Constitution is mindful of people coming from this. So I mean, I come from Sino County. I have 13 siblings. Half of us have master's degree, so we could have occupied, like state ministries, right? So if we come from the same county, so the Constitution is aware. There are people, I see someone say, hey, Lofa has 6 tribes. The Constitution, this whole idea of tribe, please, that's not what we are talking. It's not ethnicity. We're talking about counties. So the Constitution recognizes that you should take one from each county as, it's not like must, but you should strive to do that. There's a reason.
Okay, Mr. John, let me give you this background where I'm coming from. Right? We're sitting at the University of Liberia doing my master's program, and we're talking about doing a survey, and the same conversation came up. Now, if you're talking about county, even Mandingo people are situated in Lofa County. a heavy group of population of Mandingo people situated in
You're
Lofa
still
County as
mentioning
well.
ethnic
You're
group. We're
still
talking
mentioning
county, not
tribe. We're
ethnic
trying to
group.
Yeah,
deviate
that's
from
what
the
I'm saying.
tribe, not the
Yeah, that's what
tribal
I'm saying.
aspect.
So if you start, if the man needs some Mandingo, and then you say because he's from Lofa, is that what we're saying? Because the man needs some Mandingo, say
We're
from
not
Lofa?
suggesting here. We're saying Ko Bangali is from Lofa, right?
Yeah.
Wama Kamara is from Lofa. Are they saying they are not? We're not
So,
going by tribe, or we are not going by name.
so why is my pa from Lofa, my man from Monserrado?
You tell me where you coming
You
from
see,
according to our
it's a tricky game. So we
No, it's
shouldn't
not.
be playing counter
You
card.
see,
No, it's not. County, you
Dennis,
identify with a county, right? You come
Dennis,
from a county. So it's a political subdivision. It's not ethnic group,
you
right?
see,
I believe you can be Gribble and come from Lofa. Really, if that's how I like in America, right? So it's not. I don't want us to mix this
If the
with ethnic
constitution
group.
started on there, we shouldn't make it a political issue.
so
What I'm saying.
here's
No,
the
it's a
problem.
political. It's constitutional. Let me go to Gabriel.
Here's the problem. I think people forget to understand that representation actually matters, right? And I think that's what the Constitution is trying to, guide us in. That representation matters, right? Here's the reason why you cannot just appoint everybody from Lofa just because they qualify, and you're leaving everybody else out, right? People from all over the other the country want to see themselves represented in the government, right? You just alluded to the history that we've had with that same behavior with presidents, with Doe, and I think it goes beyond that before him, right? As a post-war democracy, do you think that we need to get away from that whole aspect that if a president comes in, they have to set an agenda where they want to see each county, not just county, but at least try, even if you want to go down to the tribal aspect, to see that represented in the government that you want to build? This is the kind of country that we need to. This is the kind of country we need to have. It doesn't matter whether if this person is from Lofa or all of us here are from Lofa, and we have qualification, but we want to see representation. Like the Constitution said, try to have representation, because those things, as we've seen in history and as the Constitution pointed out, they cause problem. If you are seeing everybody in the government from Lofa, what do you think that's going to do? I'm not seeing myself represented. You're not seeing yourself represented. Other people from other regions are not seeing themselves represented. Those things matters. Those things matters. Whether in every institution, not just the government, every institution we build in our country, we need to have that there, right? The central bank we're talking about, we need to have a diverse group of people running our institution. The same thing with our education system. We want to see that, because the children that are coming up, these kids that we're having, we want to give them something they can aspire to. But if they're not seeing themselves represented in the government, that they won't aspire to that. This is why this matters. So it's beyond you and I.
Let me just get
beyond, it is beyond. It's beyond. Because I have qualification, he can just appoint me.
Let me just get
beyond that. We want representation for everybody, because that is the kind of country that we want to build. A democracy that has equity, and representation for everybody. That's what we should be pitching here. So what the president is doing, and I know he's doing this intentionally, this is wrong, and we should be calling this out. This is absolutely wrong. Thank you.
Let me get 30 seconds then. Look, listen. Listen, I'm not saying, and I think I made myself clear. That's where leadership comes in. Our local government act that we have right now, that local government law, we should be advocating that at the local government level, we should have strong governmental presence. Decentralize the country. They think when everybody won't come to Monrovia for a job, that why the corruption can finish. Because few people come, they send in Monrovia, they don't want making the money. Everybody sitting in the village, they're putting their hand to beg for $1 or $2. Let us decentralize the government. You don't have to come to Monrovia and be appointed.
What does that have to do with having government with people from the same county?
How do you decentralize the country when you got more than 30% coming from one county in the leadership? That's not being you not decentralized.
Exactly.
Government, I'm saying government should be based at the county level. The framework of government should be strengthened at the county level. We should
Yeah,
have, which I think Ellen Johnson wanted to do this thing, but she failed. We should have government.
but that's a different
government
that's a different argument, though.
That's
county
a
level.
different.
It should be represented across. Not just come for 20 position in cabinet.
Yeah, but
We
how
want
do
the
you
best-
look at
we want the
so
best
generally?
one.
Let me get your
don't want
before I go to Dukley. What do you say about county representation? Let's take cabinet for instance.
All
You
right.
can have 5, 6, 10 from one county. Is okay, or it doesn't matter.
Listen, I said when we are recruiting to move Liberia forward, we want the best minds, the best of our brightest. It shouldn't be because we need to have county balance, so we compromise the quality of our employees.
No, you can't make
Jesus
the point.
Christ.
That argument is flawed. That argument is flawed.
Thank
Are you
you.
saying there are no
Exactly.
qualified people from the other county? Are you saying no qualified people in any other
That's the
county?
basis on which he's
No,
forming this
no,
argument.
that's not the point.
basis.
No,
No,
listen,
but-
listen. Mr. Sali,
Dr.
if
President,
you have
we don't have
position-
much time here. I want to move on. I want to move on because you are not hitting the point. Is it okay to have more people, let's say 6 cabinet ministers from one county?
No, it's not okay.
All right, let me go to Dr.
never said it was okay.
Dukley. Mr. Dukley, let's
You
look
know-
at the Lofa or the so-called Lofa domination.
Dennis, you know, I've tried to say this before, and this is all part of the leadership deficit we've been suffering from over the years. This should not be something that should become contentious as we are talking about it. In the interest of peace, in the interest of making people to feel they are part of the process, like Brother Carter was just saying, it's only politically expedient to have everybody represented. And don't tell me there's no county in Liberia that had no qualified person in any particular field. So if it's not at the cabinet level, it can be at other levels. But this notion of bringing in people from the same place, yeah, and this argument is a flawed argument to say that there are multiple tribes in one county. That's why they say county without having to mention a tribe, because when you try to bring it that way, you have Madingo people in all the 15 counties of Liberia. But it won't take away the notion of association when you bring a Madingo man from Grand Cape Mo County or Grand Jide. It will still have the same connotation. So it's a good practice. It's a good politicking if each county is represented instead of having one county dominate. Like and somebody mentioned about I don't know who was talking about the Crown people. This is how things started degenerating until we got to where we got. Because you see, once you start bringing in one group of people from one particular county, these people begin to feel as if they are superior more than other people from other counties, simply because they are in power. And they don't realize the implication of that way of thinking and that way of behaving. So I think it's only proper that and surprisingly, I don't know if anybody took note of this. I didn't see anybody mentioned from Guapulu County, or unless if I missed it.
Yeah, maybe deputy for ministers. No, and all right. There is this thing. Our friend Sam Wallow say, what census data are you using to establish representation rate for appointees? You see how people move goalposts? Now we don't know the definition of who comes from a county.
The minute move the goalpost, move the whole field.
Right? Because it's the same thing, right? When we was in power, the Unity Party knew what witch hunt was when they grabbed Salif. Now, when they say which one, they acting like they didn't know the definition. Which one? So what's going on here? Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, we have 20 minutes to close. Please call the numbers on your screen. And if you know more local people in government, or if you think they don't dominate, our friends Flomo said they don't dominate. So if you have 15 counties and you have 19 cabinet positions, if you have just 3 that domination, because each will get 1, and then 2 will leave. 15 divided by 9 is 1 remainder 2. but this government have more Lofa, Bong, and Nimba.
Mr. John, do you carry anything? You remainder 2 carry 1 where?
yeah, you carry 1.
I was from Maryland. I company Mr. Jack company. I was from where Maryland.
But you see, Dennis,
I'm not
then you have to remember. You have to remember. Usually, the president is usually beholden to so many factions. The president is usually beholden to so many interests that he or she must satisfy upon winning an election, and then all of those things come to play. But I think if you just set a ground rule from the get go that this is what you want to do, and people should actually follow you,
Right.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. It just
let me say this, right? So most of the time when you talk about this about counting, say, oh, their qualification. So let's look at central bank. Central bank, you have vacancy, 2 vacancy. The governor and the deputy governor. You take 2 people from Lofa with who, in my belief, they have problems, right? Number 1, the one you replace from Lofa, the governor, ran his bank under the ground. So what qualification is that? Also,
they make an issue loan to Boakai.
So you take that person from Lofa because you were arguing qualification, and then you take the deputy who was in default of 90,000, and also from Lofa. So if you have 2 of them, the bank governor and the deputy from Lofa, how do you even expect that the check and balance?
You got 3 more governors.
Mr. John.
No, so you have 15 counties. If 2 are from the same county, what do you think going to happen?
But Mr. John, you see, I think President Boakai made it clear on here. I think you played that clip one time where he says, let us sit in the United States, the diaspora, and on social media and talk their law. I will do what I want to do. I think everybody saw it. So Boakai is.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, that clip went around. I think we play on point several times. These people are, like they say, they are animals of the environment, of the upbringing. Joseph Boakai came up in a time where they had this, we can call it the imperial presidency on a Totman. I think he was born during Bagley time or Charles D. King time. All of these people were imperial presidents. Joseph Boakai came from that era. So a man who defied the ruling of the Supreme Court, the highest court in the country. You don't expect him to, I know in the work where you all work, when there's a vacancy, it has to be advertised, it has to be promoted, you set up a search committee and they do the vetting and everything, and then they send recommendation to the president for the final 2 that he can choose whatever he wants. But there is no search committee. There's nobody involved. You fire somebody today, and before that letter goes out, you already have a replacement there. There's no vetting. There's no oversight. This is why this man reactivated this economic commission that he made himself president, and everybody else falls under him. Look what he has done with Grace Bay. These are people that he went to school at CWA. Grace Bay is 77. He brought Charles Minor to be the right side. Charles Minor is 81. He's going to be 82. So how do we put our future in the hands of these folks who, to me, have laid
way past their prime? Yeah.
I mean, 81 years old now, then 81 years old, you make the person the right side.
Don't we have retirement laws in Liberia? Is there no age of retirement?
Is that the Charles Manuel that was the Liberian ambassador to the U.S.?
Yes. He was appointed 2 months ago as the rights czar.
Yeah, he's and I don't know where the other committee is going.
Let me say this.
Problem
Let me say this quickly.
The DEA problem, that investigation is not over yet. But let me bring in colors here now. We have two colors.
Before you do that, let me say this quickly. When the president was running, do you guys remember? I don't want to call names. A certain platform were talking about his tribalism, how tribal he was.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Henry Costa. There are a few other people that were calling up, making note of this.
That's correct.
Exactly what we're talking about now. That the old man is very tribalistic. Here it is, coming to fruition right in front of us.
And that uncle and nephew thing we saw, and they put voted for it.
Thank you. Election have consequences.
That's right.
Like the president, your guy lost.
That's right.
Let me bring on our callers now. Let me bring on the callers. Elvis Morris, you are number one. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jai, and thank you to the panelists. Look, I want to say this. You know, during President Weah's time, we had people on this very platform, the likes of George Lobo, you know, the likes of Maurice Duklin, not Maurice Duklin, but Maurice Karam, guys who were saying that, you know, making outrageous statements. You know, Southeasterners should never have power in that country. They're rogues. They're like this, they're like that. And they say all kinds of nonsense about Southeasterners. And one of the most disappointing one was recently, our own Chancellor Jeway, when it came to Senator, he said that's the Southeasterner attitude. Because, you know, the stereotype is that Southeasterners are dishonest people, they're rogues. And people spill this hatred. And that's why on this platform, anytime people go against Southeasterners, I try to question and I stand up if I'm on the show, because these are the psychic of many people in that country. If you pull a lot of people that will say these things, whether it has some validity of truth to it, or it's just stereotype that's been passed down through generations, people look at Southeasterners a certain way. And on this very platform and other platforms, they try to, you know, castigate people from the Southeast, you know. But Mr. Jai and the other panelists, this is who we are as Liberians. And I'm not even going to say this, it's only coming from the people from Lofa. If you put a man from Nima there today, he will do a very similar thing. He will pack his cabinet with a lot of people who are affiliated with Nima, maybe from Bon, from that specific region. And many, you know, deputies and other assistants will be from Nima. You put a man there from let's say, Bonny County, it will be a similar thing. So the reality is this is who we are as a people. But even more so than tribalism is cronyism. People who he is familiar with, people who he knows will do his bidding. And sometimes in our country, we tend to be socialized more with people from our region and people from our own county. So these people who are mostly in the president's circle, or people who we trust, who we have interacted with for many years, are people from his region or his county. So you will see a reflection of that in his government. And that was a similar case with George Weah. And I try to make that case with people say, oh no, he's just tribalistic. People who come from your area, those are the people you know, mostly those are the people you trust. You may interact with other people from, let's say, somebody from Maryland is less likely to really interact a lot with people from Lofa because they're on the far extreme of the country. So people from one section will bring more people from their section because those are who they know. So my point here is, it's not a big issue, but it's the hypocrisy of it. These guys who were talking about the Southeastern dominance are not saying a pin now. People in the house, who the Yaga Koluba is really even bringing it to light, even though he's from Lofa. Or you heard other people talking about the judiciary, they did the very same thing Johnson, they were talking about it. Now they ain't got nothing to say. When Lofa and that, you know, whatever, maybe you can say central region or north central region is dominating. They're not saying anything about it. So the hypocrisy of it that we want to point out. But this is who we are, and this is what President Boakai is reflecting in his government.
And I disagree. That's not who we are. And if I'm president today, because I socialize with people from other counties, so trust me, you're going to see people from Lofa, not Maryland.
The campaign just began, guys. Jai will be running for
Bro,
president.
if I can get superintendent job, you think I'm president?
Well,
You never know,
For the
Dennis.
presidency, if you
The-
miss it, you'll land in the.
yeah, the people will vote you in. So
Let
nobody
me
has
bring
to
in
appoint you.
Mr. Flomo Livingstone. Mr. Flomo doesn't believe that Lofa is dominating. Flomo, come on.
Yeah, Mr. John, thank you for the show. I don't believe Lofa is dominating. And I have to correct Mr. Carter. He's saying Herald Potter said the president is traveling. That is not true. If we see the cabinet, see all the names. So how many
No, he did mention that. He did mention that. There's a clip out
Well,
there.
Of course.
Yeah. Let us not go to what Costa said. Let's go to the. Is there a Lofa domination?
Exactly. Okay. He said Lofa dominated. I don't know how you can call that Lofa dominated. So there are people everywhere.
No, let's start with the cabinet. Let's start with the cabinet, right? 19 cabinet ministers. How many members you think should be from one county before we call it domination?
For me, for example, let me say we have like 10, okay, I'll say that dominating. If we take all 10 from one county.
You
That's
gotta
why we
understand
take 4.
fraction.
Look at this kind of.
If you divide 19 mammals among 15 children, if each person is supposed to carry 1 and only 2 will leave over, so if one person carry 4, is that not cheating?
Well, that's not cheating, Mr. Jack. I mean, I think Mr. The thing is, he had other political parties that supported him, so they might he have to incorporate those guys.
That is not how governance work.
No, but those political parties have people from other counties. They're not all from Lofa. That's why you're saying that.
But Mr. Jack,
you want to tell me no Bapulu person or River G person from who supported Unity
We're
Party?
not dividing job that I've.
No, they're talking about River G. They're talking about River G, the defense minister. She's from River G. So even Amos 12 from River G. So you can't. The problem is the people who recommend those people. It's not the president because those political parties have the president and they recommend those names to the president. So it's not like the president alone selected all those names. There are political parties who supported him and they selected those names. So he just hired them according to your thinking. You're talking about it. So you can't blame the president for that.
No, I'm not blaming the president. We're talking about the
He's admitting,
domination.
but he said don't blame the president for it happening. He's admitting to that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Flomo.
Yeah, let me just. And my problem is the president. I don't call it dumb. If you see across the country, at least almost every county. I know Bapuri is not there. I get it. And Bapuri and Maryland, maybe Bapuri and Maryland is not there. I get it. But that does not mean it's still dominated. At least
did any county dominate we are government?
No, I can't. I'm not going to sit there and make them
because the complaint you had was there was southeastern domination, and we keep telling you southeastern are 5 counties. So anyway, go ahead and make your point. We have more callers coming in.
No, my point, Danny, I'm saying the administration is fair. It's not no county is dominating. If you see the list, they're more across the country. There are people representing, and everybody will not be there.
Thank you.
So, I mean, that's just how it is, Mr. John.
And the fight against corruption, is it pretending or is it real? Just one word.
Well, it is real, Mr. John.
Thank you.
People want to call that a vision, but it is real.
Thank you. Let me bring up. We have more callers there, so callers, be very brief. Emmanuel Zaza. Emmanuel.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Immigration,
I think he's calling from Nigeria.
FIA immigration and cabinet.
Is he calling from Lofa?
Okay.
His connection is really
We
bad.
can barely hear him. He's calling from Liberia.
Oh, he's calling from Liberia.
But that's what I want to say. Yeah. Also, on the show, suggest is that let us form a team and look at those teams that are in the good group and law and formulate a bill and we'll go all presidents to school and not do them. Let's see if we can do that. Let's get bills to people that they can pass to law and all presidents that will come after will not do them. Because if they can't do it, why can't we are doing and not only can we do it, they have to introduce laws for we can get the law that they can pass for all presidents to not do them. That's a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's Thomas Cannon, our resident economist.
Yeah, Dennis, I just wanted to confirm that when you become president, I will be part of the chat.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the only reason why I thought about.
Right, and that's how Bapolo will be represented.
That's right.
What people not say that cronyism, they say that amen.
I will be part of the economic management team.
Oh, okay.
And he will be the president.
Thank you. 518 area code, you are live.
Mr. Chad, thank you very much for having me. My name is Boy Solo, and I join you from New York.
You say what's your name?
Boy Solo.
Oh, Boy Solo.
And I join you. Yeah, I join you from New York. Let me say hi to my big brother, Mr. Kimen. You see, it's so disgraceful and disheartening to hear a man speaking like that, the brother who called Flomo. I think you just need to go back Liberia instead of being here. Because if you asking a simple question, if you get 19 children, and other than 19 children, you got only 15, let's put it in a way, say, books to share among them.
Among your 15 children.
Among your 15 children. And each of them is supposed to carry one, right? Then you see that you get, he's saying that it's okay for one person to carry 4. How would the other children feel? You think it's not a segregation you are bringing in the home? You think would the other children be happy? But these are the kind of people that comes here and say about other people that, more especially this particular Flomo man, will sit there and discuss about George Weah, talking about George Weah would never come up to power, this, that, and you will be saying statement there on other platform. But you come here and make disgraceful statement there for people to listen. It's not need to be a just need to be back home to in Liberia because we here. We're learning. I don't see why we're learning to carry back home. That's why when our people go back home,
tell your own, leave Flomo alone.
Yeah. That is the reason why when we go back home, we do the same thing. Because all the things we're learning here, we don't implement it when we go back home. We come and say things that are not right. It's shameful.
Thank you. Thank you. We got more callers here. I just want to give 1 minute each. Thank you. Let me go to Hassan Kone, Emmanuel Togba, Kalebo, and Teddy. So let's start with Hassan Kone. Hassan, go ahead.
Thank you. And good evening to your panelists. Just a couple of quick points here. The question I want to ask the panelists, and again, I was going to say is back to us. Are we inferior? Are we able to learn things and implement it? Right? Because we brought this on ourselves. We knew this, but doing the campaign, we have educated Liberians, misleading our people, right? And stuff like that. I mean, that's the only thing I had to say. So all this thing with Baga fighting corruption and all of this, it's not going to happen. We already see the play that he's making. Elvis alluded to that, the colonialism. He's putting his men in places so they can corrupt the country more and even more efficiently, And this thing with this, how you call it? This fight against corruption stuff, like how you call it. And the father caller touched on it again. If you got people that Flomo calling this show and trying to do gymnastics, but when Joe we have to do it bad, when I do it school, and other person do it bad, we never going to go anywhere. We're just going to be sitting out on the show talking all the Google thing, and nothing's going to happen. It's time that diaspora Liberians, educated people like Mr. Gayman and whosoever that's on the show, need to rally behind a candidate that they know, not because the candidate is winnable, but they know that he's the right one. So we shouldn't just be going behind candidates won the vote, but we should be supporting throwing our support behind a candidate that's going to be the right for Liberia. And that's coming.
Thank
so,
you.
I mean, just think for the show and stuff like that.
Thank you, Hassan. Emmanuel Toba, you're live. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. Thank you again. Great show. I just want to ask a question to Carter. Yeah. We're talking about Samoa, the appointed acting governor of the central bank. I wonder what you guys are saying regarding his stewardship at the international bank. What is based on facts? But most of these things that were said are not really true.
That the bank broke down?
Yeah, that's not. I mean, I'll give you for a fact, for example, just recently, read the Daily Observer report, newspaper report on August 1st, you know who Samoa is.
You said the Abbey Bank is doing well?
Abbey Bank is very solvent.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, it's very solvent. It's very, very solvent. So I don't know where he's getting his facts from. So that's the one clarification I want to make. That's not true of Abbey Bank.
I will respond to that.
In terms of the government maybe being one-sided, Lofa County, it's a glaring fact. I don't know why people calling and talking about counting people in the government. I mean, it's clear. Even within the Unity Party rank, there are infighting that the president has been one-sided, 20 people needed for Lofa County. So it's a fact. So people should start looking at facts, like glaring stuff like that, and turn a blind eye and try to, say support Joseph Boakai because they supported the Unity Party.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Kalabo Gonglo. Kalabo, you have a minute. Kalabo is not there?
Yes, hello, I'm there.
Okay.
I'm muting myself, so
go ahead.
I was trying to take myself. Okay, so great show. I don't have a question. I'm just going to make a quick comment, and any panelists can add to that. I look at the audit report. I look at front page Africa report on the audit, the story they care on the audit between the legislature and the executive represented by the Ministry of Finance. At least the story they carry. The only comment I can make on that is to say, hey, this whole fight against corruption is like we're not going nowhere, because if you look at the audit reports, particularly from the perspective of the legislature, some of the guys who had key committees at the legislature are still heading those committees. Look at Prince Moy. Look at Thomas Farah. He's still influential. You can go on. Abachir is still there in the legislature. He had a committee on public works. He's influential. You look at Jeremiah Kuhn, Ways and Means from the House of Representatives. He's vice president now. Then even if you want to do holistic stuff to say, let's look at the other regime in the country as a whole, starting from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Then Boakai might even implicate himself, because his office as vice president gave him $22 million every budget for 12 years. He was never audited. So I look at it and say, who do we take our case to? We can't go to the legislature and say we want the legislature to do this, because most of the influential guys in the legislature are potentially culpable of some of the things that are coming in the audit. You turn to the executive, the head of the executive himself. You want to do a deep dive, he's not going to be clear. So we're just going to do window dressing on the politically and say we're doing something. That's what I mean, until Liberia reach a point where we have credibility and integrity sitting in the executive mansion. We'll begin to elect people in the legislature that will stand up, that will be big, that can even withstand the test of lifestyle audit. We're not going nowhere. That's my short comment. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Kadita Lion Yakon. 1 minute, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking my call. Greetings to everybody. Yeah, well, I think the people are beginning to regret about good personnel.
That's not true.
Even though, well, Then let me get in.
Okay.
You know, people having malice or serious motives against President Weah CDC, and because of that, we forgo the importance of Liberia. We are looking at Joseph Boakai that already plunged our country into a very serious chaos by employing people, this tribal sentiment and trying to continue with that. President Weah was in power. President Weah had people from all over the South region working with him. Few people from the southeastern regions, people say, the southeastern people follow the whole government. But one thing about Nigerian people in general, when it comes to come up with this mantra of saying against the southeastern people, they did these things, they allowed this to civil war, and now every little mistake of the southeastern people want to amplify that. Well, then people from the other side, they are doing what the southeastern people have done. That's why the southeastern people have been one of the most friendliest people in the country, and unifying people to unite the country, for people to look down on us, and this is bad.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
Don't be that land. The people, people from
We don't have much time, so please conclude.
They want to take over the power by that defense minister, and will not allow that to happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are all the calls we have tonight. Our time is fast spent. We should be closing in the next 5 minutes. So, gentlemen, thank you for the night. We'll go around the room for your 1 minute closing on the two things we discussed: the fight against corruption. Is it real or fake? And the so-called Lofa dominance in government. Dr. Pearson, let me start with you for your closing.
Thank you, Dennis, and thanks to our participants.
That will be Dr. Pearson, it will be Mr. Dukley, it will be Gabriel, ST Salif, and then Mr. Given will close. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dennis. Thanks to our participants tonight, those following us on the show. Active call line tonight. That was great. Thank you all for participating. Dennis, I would say that as far as our eyes can see and our observation can bear us witness, Boakai does not have the leadership capacity to lead Liberia. And I will continue to say that he needs to step aside and give Jeremiah Kuhn the chance to take on the mantle of leadership. On the issue of the fight against corruption, I think he's just trying to show off that he's trying to meet campaign promises. Other than that, he's not showing us that he really means business, because he's not dealing with those who are corrupting his administration, and he doesn't seem to be having a fair fight when it comes to a broad-based attack on corruption. And secondly, I think when it comes to the Lofa representation in government, I don't think that's a major issue for me. I think we should strengthen local government, and then by strengthening local government, we're going to bring all our counties on board in our governance structure, and then appointment positions should be based on merit, and it doesn't matter which county you come from. Let's use the best minds and the best brains in our country. And that's what I have to say for tonight. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Mr. Dukley.
Well, Dennis, thank you very much for the opportunity. And I want to say thank you to all of my co-panelists. It was a pleasure being here with you guys tonight. And, Dennis, we all on this platform, I think we all mean well for Mama Liberia. And we are only here to, contribute our part. Hopefully someone somewhere might be listening and maybe get the courage to do something. I don't know if anyone comes here with intent to see who want to see the government fail. No. But, usually we don't have confidence in what we see, and we this confidence is lacking because of what we have seen happen in a short period of time for someone with the experience of Joseph Boakai. I'm still hopeful that he would try to correct course on some of these decisions and some of these issues that are popping up every so often, and I think it's an opportunity that platforms such as this exist, because in the past there were no such platform to advocate, to support, and to express how they feel in a manner as we are seeing it today. So, I hope that some of these conversations will have some consequences to people who are supposed to listen to us. Thank you once again for the opportunity, Dennis. It was a pleasure being here with you.
Thank you. Mr. Carter.
Dennis, thank you for again having me tonight. Thank you to all the other panelists. There's maybe 2 points I would like to make, and I'll yield. The first one goes to the caller who talked about IB Bank being a solvent bank. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. Some of the things that I know about that bank, I can't disclose here on this network, but I can tell you right now, just go on the website, get their balance sheet, take a look at their balance sheet over the last 3 years, and then come back on this platform, and then we can have a conversation about that. That's the point I want to make. Besides that, everything else, I will leave it behind the scene. But take a look at their balance sheet over the last 3 years, read through it, and then come back, we can have a conversation. The other point that I would like to make is that, whether this president is making any effort in terms of the fight against corruption. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious that he's failing. As I said earlier, he continued to have opportunity to really make an example in terms of making his mark of the kind of government that he will want to have, the kind of government that he will want us want the kind of country that he will want to build. But I think he's been missing every opportunity to course correct. The perfect example is with the central bank. The yellow machine, that's the buses, the funds that were stolen at the inauguration. So this is, I mean, this should be an example. This should be a message to the opposition. This failure that we are seeing here should give you the tools of how and what not to do when you come into power. This is an opportunity to really learn about what not to do when you come to power. And as much as the next 5.5 years that we have, left in this, administration, I don't see anything tangible happening. I think we're going to see another 6 years wasted. And sooner or later, we're going to have protests, all around the country, because of the failure of this government. We've never had hope in this. I never had hope in this president, and it continued to manifest throughout for the last 5 months that we've seen his presidency here. So
thank you.
All I can tell you guys is just hang in there and continue to make your voices heard, and let's get to 2029 and hopefully we'll get somebody better. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Salif.
Thank you, Dennis. This is how I want to close out the show from my end. I don't know why President JMB is always in a hurry making rash decisions at this point in time. If there's anybody who could have made a real positive impact on Liberia, it should be JMB, given the fact that he just took over from the CDC and people overwhelmingly voted him in as the rescue father, and they were the rescue team. But right now, I think his performance has been completely dismal. Corruption has many faces. There are many faces of corruption. Removing people from established tenure position to put in your lawyer list, that is a form of corruption. Removing people from their positions to put in partisans, those are all forms of corruption. Stacking the executive with people only from your county is also a form of corruption, and the president needs to course correct. He needs to create a vetting team, from all walks of life, or maybe all counties, or however he would do it, so that these people sit down and they can scout and vet people that he wants to appoint. that way he will make qualitative decisions in his appointment. But for now, I think he's just having a series of missteps, and it's not working well for him. It's completely antithetical to what he has espoused to have be able to do when he took over the reins of power in Liberia. So that is completely unacceptable, and he needs to immediately course correct. He can look around the world. There are places he can look. Diaspora, people in the diaspora can help him to do some of these things that they're trying to achieve. So yeah,
Thank you.
I'm disappointed in whatever he has done so far.
Thank you, Mr. Gaiman.
Yeah, thank you, panelists, gentlemen. You did a great job, Mr. Ja. I want to leave this with those of us or those who miss the news. Boakai reactivated economic management team appoints acting central governor as the chair on the board, actually. And it says here that just the last piece I want to read here. The team will also serve as a think tank on economic matters, proffer solutions that will tackle economic uncertainties, especially immediate policy intervention, and improve the implementation of public financial management, the PFM law, ensuring transparency and accountability.
Yeah.
This is why we say.
Yeah, let's conclude. I have a hashtag.
I know that this is why people say when you do lip service, when you say these things that you are doing it, then it says here the team as follows: Joseph M. Boakai, chair and president of the economic team. Do you see where we are going? I think one of the guys said it. This administration is here to purge, and I think what Padma that says from what we are seeing in defense, in everything else that has been strategically posted, it would be impossible to have free and fair election in Liberia anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, we want to say thank you for watching and thank you to all the panelists. Until then, we close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.